Welcome to the Optima Method, the podcast for business owners, leaders, and teams who want more structure, less chaos, and operations that actually work. I'm Saskia. Here we focus on practical systems, clear processes, automations, and using AI intentionally to build a business that doesn't require you to constantly hold everything together. And today I want to talk specifically to the mom entrepreneur because building a business as a mom is different. You're not simply asking, what do I need to accomplish in my business today? You're also thinking, what time is pickup? What's happening with soccer tonight? Did everyone eat? Do we have everything we need for tomorrow? What's happening this weekend? And somewhere in between all of those responsibilities, you're also trying to build something of your own. I know that feeling because I'm building Optima as a solopreneur and as a mom entrepreneur. And I generally love building it. I love creating. I love looking at a repetitive task and thinking, there has to be a better way to do this. I love figuring out how AI and automation can take something off of my plate. But I don't want to automate my business just because automation is interesting. I automate it because I want my time back. I want to build the business, but I also want to be able to close the laptop and be at soccer. I want to be able to spend the time with my family, and I want to be able to change my schedule when my kids actually need me without feeling like the entire business is going to fall apart. That's what I want to talk to you about today. How do you structure your week so that as a solopreneur, you can finish Friday feeling like your business actually moved forward? Because busy and moving forward are not the same thing. So one of the hardest parts of being a mom and an entrepreneur isn't necessarily the workload. It's the switching. CEO, mom, marketer, mom, salesperson, mom, content creator, mom, bookkeeper, mom, operations mom, customer service mom, and sometimes you're switching between those roles within 5 minutes. If you've been there, I know you're smiling because that happens to me way too often on a daily basis. You can be writing a proposal and suddenly someone needs you. Your little boy or little girl is standing right next to you, wanting you to open a bag of chips. Then you come back to the proposal and you're thinking, where was I? And that context switching adds up. That's why I don't believe the solution is simply you need to manage your time better. Sometimes you don't need better time management. You just need operational structure. And there's a difference. Time management asks, how can I fit everything into my calendar? Operational structure asks, does everything actually need to be done by me in the first place? That second question changes the way I think about my business because when you're a solopreneur, you're technically in every department. But that doesn't mean you personally need to perform every task manually. That's where systems come in. That's where templates come in. That's where AI comes in. And that's where automation becomes incredibly powerful. And that is what I teach. That's what I share. And that's what I provide to other solopreneurs, mompreneurs, just like me, to be able to simplify life, to be able to be present, to be able to open that bag of chips and not feel like you need to start over. I want you to think about your last week. You probably worked. You probably answered messages. You probably created something. You probably handled unexpected things. But here's a question. What specifically moved your business forward? That's the harder question because you can work for 40 hours and still feel like nothing changed. That's usually because the week was filled with maintenance work instead of momentum work. Maintenance work keeps a business functioning. Momentum work makes the business stronger, and you need both. But if maintenance consumes 100% of your week, you're constantly operating the business and never actually building it. For me, a productive week doesn't mean I completed everything on my task list. It means I improved something this week that will make next week even easier. That might mean I created an automation, documented a process, created a piece of evergreen content, improved a customer journey, created a template, followed up with a prospective client, build a new course, built a new resource, removed an unnecessary step. Those are the things that compound. So if you're a solopreneur and constantly wondering where to start, simplify it. Every week, I want you to look at 5 areas. You don't have to make massive progress in all 5, but you should know what's happening in each one. The first one is revenue. First, what am I doing this week that eventually generates revenue? Not the followers, not the likes on social media, not the busy work, but actually true revenue. That could mean following up with a lead, sending a proposal, improving your offer, having a sales conversation, promoting a product, creating a new lead magnet, reconnecting with an old customer. Ask yourself every Monday, what is my revenue moving task this week? Choose at least one that you will have in front of you on a daily basis. The second one is visibility. How am I helping people discover what I do? For me, that's content. That's podcasting, YouTube, social media, blogging, SEO. But here's where being a mom entrepreneur requires structure. I cannot wake up every morning and think, what should I post today? That is exhausting. It's unnecessary. And instead, I want content to work like a system. One idea can become a podcast, and that podcast can become a YouTube video, and that can become a blog, and then several short form videos, social posts, Pinterest content, and an email. Now, I haven't created 7 completely different things. I created one core idea and built a system around it. That's operational thinking. And guess what? I usually do it in one sitting. I ask my husband to watch the kids or keep him away from me for just about 2 hours to get it all done. And that's 1 week of my planning. 2 hours equals 1 week of planning. It's incredible. And I've actually fine-tuned it over time because I've gotten better at knowing what I wanted to do, when I need to do it by, and really focus on the time that I have available. But then again, it does not take my time away from my children because I'm actually spending and dedicated the time for me in that time and getting the content out. So the third one is operations. This one is probably one of my favorites because I can ask myself every week, what can I make easier this week? This is where you look for friction. Maybe you send the same email 3 times this week. That's a signal. Maybe you copied information from one system into another. That's a signal. Maybe you manually scheduled the same type of appointment. That's a signal. Maybe you're constantly recreating the same document. That's a signal. Maybe you're answering the same customer question. That's a signal. Every repeated task should make you curious. I almost want you to start saying, why am I doing this again? Because repetition gives you an opportunity to build a process. And once you have a repeatable process, you can start asking, can I template it? Can AI help with it? Can I automate part of it? That's how a solopreneur starts creating capacity without immediately hiring another person. The fourth part is automation is how I buy back time. This is something where I'm extremely passionate. Automation shouldn't be about making your business feel robotic. Automation should remove the robotic work from your day. And there's a big difference. I don't want to automate relationship. I don't want to automate the moments where someone genuinely needs me. I don't want technology making every important decision for me. But I absolutely want technology handling predictable, repetitive, administrative work. If someone downloads something, I shouldn't manually send the same email every time. If someone books a meeting, I shouldn't manually have to send them the reminders. If I create a podcast, I shouldn't start from a blank page every time I need supporting content. If there's information I regularly need to review, I shouldn't have to hunt through 5 different places to find it. That's what I mean when I talk about automation. It's not how can I get AI to run my entire business, but it's really where am I spending my limited time doing work that doesn't actually require me. Because every hour I remove from repetitive work is an hour I can use somewhere else. Sometimes that goes back into the business, but sometimes it goes back to my family. And that really matters. And that makes a big difference to me. The next part is really thinking about building something once. I want you to think about every week, is there something that I can build once and reuse over and over and over again? This is huge for solopreneurs. This includes templates, checklists, SOPs, email responses, AI prompts, automation, workflows, intake forms, dashboards, client onboarding. Think about how much time we waste recreating things we've already done before. If you've done something twice, start asking whether it needs a template. If you've done it 3 times, you probably need a process. If you've done it every week, you should seriously investigate whether part of it can be automated. That's how you slowly build infrastructure underneath your business. And another area to focus on is you. It's one area that entrepreneurs tend to forget. You, not your business, but you. Because you can create the greatest operational system in the world. But if you've designed a business that requires you constantly, that sacrifices your personal life. Something is wrong with your system. And that's what you need to look at. Look at your calendar. Where is your family time? Where is your personal time? Where are the things that matter to you? And here's something I think is important. Don't schedule your life around whatever time the business leaves behind. Start putting the important personal commitments on your calendar first. Then structure the business around reality. Because that's reality for a mom entrepreneur. There are practices, there's games, there's kids' appointments, there's school schedules, there's school functions, family events. And life doesn't stop because we decided to start a business. Your operational model needs to account for that. So what does my ideal week look like? Here's a simple structure you can try. Not because every day will go perfectly. It won't. There will be ups and downs, there will be bumps in the road, but those are the things that you need to be aware of and just be flexible for. Structure gives you something to return to when things change. So Mondays are my priorities. Monday isn't about trying to accomplish the 47 things on my list. I choose my top 3 and ask myself what absolutely needs to move forward this week. Identify the revenue opportunity, your operational priorities, and your visibility and growth priority. Everything else gets organized around those. Tuesday is your deep work. Tuesday is a great day for the work that requires your brain. Build the offer, create the presentation, work on the client project, record the podcast, create the system, protect a block of time where you're not bouncing between 15 different things. Now, I will say that recording the podcast, I do have that in deep work for Tuesdays, but guess what? Today is Saturday and I'm doing it in one sitting here on a Saturday. So I do pivot some of the tasks and deep work where it makes most sense for me and my family and my time. So do that for yourself too. Wednesdays are for systems and automation. I love the idea of intentionally creating space for operational improvements. Look at what you've repeated recently. What annoyed you? What took too long? What did you manually do that shouldn't require manual effort? Document and improve it. Automate where it's appropriate. Even if you improve one small process per week, imagine what happens after 52 weeks. You could have 52 parts of your business that are easier than they were a year ago, and that's significant. That's something to just sit there and take in for just a moment. Now, your Thursday could be your visibility and follow-up. Follow up on your leads, reconnect with people, publish, repurpose some of the content, respond to meaningful conversations, review your pipeline. You don't need to constantly sell, but people need to know you exist and understand how you can help them. So a couple of things here on the publishing and repurposing content. Again, what I do is I do it in one sitting. I actually repurpose my content and do it in one sitting. I actually look at the content and plan and schedule it for the week. And sometimes I even do it weeks at a time, knowing where my personal commitment will interfere with my business. And then Friday is the CEO reset. I love CEO reset. This has become incredibly important to me. Friday is reset. Look at what happened. What did I accomplish? What didn't happen? What took longer than expected? What truly frustrated me? And what did I repeat? What needs to move to next week? And what can I actually remove from my tasks? And then one of my favorite questions becomes, what happens this week that I never want to do manually again? And write it down. That's your automation list. Then look at next week's calendar. Look at your family commitment first, business priorities next, and block your deep work time. Then stop, close your laptop, and go be present for the weekend. Your business should eventually require less of you, and this is the bigger vision behind all of this. As entrepreneurs, sometimes we wear exhaustion like proof that the business matters. I've been working nonstop. I haven't taken a day off. I was working until midnight last night. Don't worry, I've done it too. And there are seasons where you have to push, but that should not become the norm or part of the operating model. If your business grows and every bit of growth creates more manual work for you, eventually that becomes a bottleneck. It becomes exhausting and overwhelming. And then what your passion was and why you started the business doesn't become your passion anymore. And it actually becomes depressing, which is very sad to say out loud. And that's why I want to build the automation now. And that's why I am documenting things right now. Even as a solopreneur, I look at it, I create the templates, I create the processes because I'm not simply trying to operate today's business. I'm building the infrastructure for the business I want later. And as a mom, that future matters even more. My kids are growing. There are only so many soccer games. There's only so many more pickups. There's only so many random conversations in the car. Only so many ordinary evenings where everyone is home. I don't want to build a successful business and realize that the cost was missing the life I was supposed to be building the business to support. That's why I always come back to this. Structure creates freedom. So this week, don't try to fix your entire business. I want you to answer 5 questions and take that away as part of what you need to look forward to. Number 1 is revenue. What is one thing I would do that could move revenue forward? 2 is visibility. How will I make sure the right people know what I do? 3 is operations. What is one frustrating or repetitive process I can improve? 4, infrastructure. What can I create once so I don't have to recreate it next time? And 5, the most important one is personal. What am I protecting on my calendar for myself or my family? That's it. 5 areas. You don't need 50 priorities. You need a few intentional priorities that actually move the business forward. And here's something you can do right away. Open up the Optima AI Business Advisor and tell it I'm a solopreneur and I need to plan my upcoming week. Help me identify one revenue priority, one visibility priority, one operational improvement, and one task I can automate, and one personal commitment I need to protect. Ask me questions before recommending my weekly priorities. Then work through it. You don't have to sit there and stare at a blank planner without wondering where to begin. Use the AI tools that I have made available to help you think. Use it as your advisor. Help expedite those priorities. Use automation to remove the repetition. Use the systems and the templates that I've created to create that consistency. And use a structure to protect the time you're working so hard to create. Again, I've built my business to help you simplify your life, be able to expedite your work, to be able to spend more time with your family and away from all the manual work you're doing today. Now, if this episode gave you clarity and helped you think differently about your operations, you'll find links in the show notes to the Optima resources, templates, tools, and the Optima AI Business Advisor designed to help you put structure in place without the overwhelm. And if you're another mom building a business between school schedules, sports, dinner, family commitments, and everything else life brings, I want you to remember, you don't need to accomplish everything this week. Take it one step at a time. You need to make sure the right things move forward. Build one process, automate one repetitive task, move one revenue opportunity forward, protect one important block of family time, and then do it again next week. That's how you build a business. Not through one perfect week, through small systems that compound over time. And if this episode resonated with you, share it with another mom entrepreneur who's trying to build her business without letting it consume her life and where she's trying to keep her head above water. Because the goal isn't to build a business that keeps you busy. The goal is to build a business that gives you options. Create it, optimize it, operationalize it, and remember, structure creates freedom.